Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Three Man Weave College Basketball Podcast. Yes, the boys, we're back again for Championship Week, baby. Well, the end of Championship Week, fellas. It's almost over. It's Friday. We have 3 more days of college basketball. Sunday's a short day. And then we have Selection Sunday, the most wonderful time of year before the most wonderful 2 days of the year, Jim. The first round of the NCAA Tournament. The boys will be in Vegas. We're very excited. Before we get there, of course, we're going to give out some awards today. Talk All-Americans, Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about the bubble, and we're going to give you some Roots Roundup notes and some We've Saw That. So, pretty good podcast today. Jim, how are you?
I'm great, Kai. Yes, there's a lot of coaching news to touch on in Roots Roundup, but I would like to reiterate to people that we will do a coaching higher grades podcast in the off season, early in the off season. That will really dig into whether we like the hire, whether we don't, where the guy came from, background, expectations, etc. This is more just reporting, letting people be aware of the fact. Because yeah, there's a lot of actual ball to discuss. We'll mention some of the mid-major tickets that have been punched as well. And yeah, maybe we're going to embrace some debate, Matthew, really get into it, tangle with each other, lock horns on who the right winner for Coach of the Year and Player of the Year are. I'm curious where we all end up on that. But Matthew, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, how are you guys doing in your conference tournament pool? I know that was a big
Horrible.
endeavor. Both of you think you thought you're going to win that. Everyone thinks they'll win, and then they realize
Yeah, I
I
thought I
did
was going to
one.
win. Yeah, I did, Matt. I'm hovering
All
around
right, what
like
place you in?
250, something like that, 300 maybe. I don't know. It's
Yeah, like
bleak.
150.
Yeah,
Yeah, not
It's all right.
not going to
Hey,
win.
you guys battled.
yeah, we
A lot
battled.
of favorites, a lot of chalk. Should be fun for the tournament.
Yes.
I think a preview of the tournament. That's my general projection of what we see in this in the actual tournament. A lot of chalk, a
There
lot of
was a lot of
boring,
chalk the first
a
couple
lot of
days,
no
but
ups.
it got a little weird. There's some, not one seeds in the tournament. However, it makes for a better mid-major crop. Right? We have a pretty good crop of like 12 through 14 seeds projected right now, which is great, which actually could lend to some upsets. However, there's some pretty strong 5 through 8 seeds. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, self-promotion, 3MW underscore CBB. That's where you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, if you feel so inclined. We are live right now on YouTube. Please check that out. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. And, of course, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. Please do leave us reviews. 5 stars are welcome. We will read them at the end of the podcast. We have one today. We'll save it for the end. And that's it, fellas. Oh, wait, one more. Join the Discord. We are with Trilly Donovan in the Burner Ball Discord. The link is in the description to the video. It is the best college basketball community ever. It's going to get hot, hot, hot as the portal and the coaching search ramps up. Trilly has all the inside information. Enjoy the speculation. Enjoy the inside info. It's really great. Of course, we're in there providing betting content, other college basketball content. There's plenty more in there to check out. $6 a month in the description. It's fantastic. Okay, that does it. Let's round it up and get into some news and notes. Start the podcast.
Let's do it, fellas. Roots Roundup time. Talking a little bit of notes from the past week. But before we do, Matthew, you have a lovely plug for a wonderful sponsor, CBB Analytics.
CBB Analytics, Jim. That's right, our fine sponsor. Another brand new shiny tool just unveiled by Nick and the squad. I've been poking around with it this morning. A bracket matrix optimizer, right? It allows you to, once for the conference tournaments, but then for the big unveil for the actual tournament, allows you to kind of go through and play with different scenarios. Perfect for bracket optimization, Kai, percentages of advancement by round by team based on all types of hypothetical matchups, using his efficiency rating. So use that, folks, when that comes out on Monday. I will be retweeting that when Nick goes live with it. So keep an eye out if you're following us, which you should be, at 3MW underscore CBB. But please check it out. I'm going to use that for all of my bracket pools, mostly my wife's, who I've finished second in back-to-back years. And they all make fun of me because I don't think I know ball because I haven't actually won that. But I'll be using that this year. Again, part of the math is who is picking other teams. But in terms of the percentages of advancement based on certain matchups, I think it'll be very useful. So again, one of many tools that Nick and his site offers on top of all the baseline stuff we love: shot charts, matchups, contextualized stats, home, road, quad one, quad two, etc. Kai. But hey, sign up today. Use our promo code WEAVE, WEAVE, for a $40 off your subscription. And coaches, let us know if you want to be part of the pro tier, Holy Grail access to everything behind the scenes, which we have, which is awesome. Jim?
Thank you, Matthew. Coaching news. Let's get right to it. The big ones, the big boys. NC State fired Kevin Keatts, fellas, a year after making the Final Four. This was rather controversial. Just a lot of a Final Four should get you 2 years without really any explanation why. It's his results had been mediocre for seasons on seasons, and then this year they didn't even make the ACC tournament. Kai, I tweeted that I thought this was kind of like brave, not brave by the administration, but I was like, oh, it's actually forward thinking, not just being stuck on a 1 year fluke run. And that got mixed reviews. Where did you land on this?
I think it was a good call, Jim. He would have gotten fired last year if he didn't. If NC State just had a normal ACC tournament, and the Final Four run doesn't negate what was a middling tenure at NC State. If you don't include the COVID year, which we can't, unfortunately, he made one tournament in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years until, well, 2, I suppose, before that Final Four fluke run. So it wasn't up to expectations of what I think NC State has for their program. And heck, I'm hearing Will Wade, I'm hearing Ryan Odom in the talks. Like, those guys would both be upgrades, in my opinion, to Keatts. I think Keatts is still a solid coach, should land on his feet somewhere eventually. But it's a good call to move on.
Yeah, on ball up top, it's actually not out yet. I believe Eric Fawcett said, what must happen at some point should just happen now. Like, there's no real, like, why beat around the bush? Why wait? If it's kind of played out the string, then I don't mind it. Matt, in the world of Minnesota, we got the old tarmac firing for Benny Johnson.
Justice for Ben Johnson.
Middle of the night. The press release is like 1:30 in the morning. That was brutal. Yeah, justice indeed. But I would theorize that there's a candidate in the works, Matthias.
I would think so, right? We can't ever criticize or evaluate a firing until we know who is hired after. Kai, it's a two-pronged evaluation here. But just what we know right now in a vacuum, it just kind of stinks, right? We see a lot of this. The people with lots of money now have more power than ever, and people with money are not always as smart as they think they are. I was reading some of the local beat reporters tweeting about how there's big, powerful groups of doctors and physicians who want to invest heavily, but they were withholding investment because they wanted Ben Johnson gone. So it's tough to say, hey, a coach failed because he wasn't funded, but it's also tough when your boosters don't exactly give that coach a level playing field that he would another coach. Kind of zooming out though, maybe Pitino. I think we underappreciated what a job he did at Minnesota for a while there. I think he was a very underrated coach
really
during his tenure in Minnesota.
Yeah, did solid. I mean, he was competing in a different sport, without NIL stuff.
Exactly.
But still, maybe there's under the table payments happening that he didn't have access to.
I think that was maybe part of it. Unclear.
Yeah,
I'll speculate.
Yeah, Florida State hired Luke Laux, former Florida State Seminole player, NBA assistant. Kind of heavy theorized after Leonard Hamilton announced he was stepping down. Big name for it. This is clearly the route that a lot of teams are taking. Let's bring in the NBA guy who's got forward-thinking ideas offensively. We'll just give him money to build a roster. And Utah and BYU have set the tone there. FSU trying for the same thing. Shrug again. We'll go into this more in detail in the offseason. A couple ones that I guess one surprised me. Arizona State's keeping Bobby Hurley. Matt, you are the resident Dookie. I guess you just keep paying for average results. I saw some speculation that I think they fired either their women's basketball coach. So yeah, they fired the women's basketball coach. So maybe they didn't want to pay 2 buyouts. I don't know. They gave him a bunch of NIL this past year. Didn't work out. Ended up down to 5 players. Somewhat injuries, but somewhat just making the wrong bets in the portal. Are you happy to see Mr. Hurley get another year, Matthias?
Yeah, I am. I kind of like Bobby. I don't know if he's a great coach. I think he's had some really, really poor misfortune. I did think that relationship would expire. It seemed like he maybe wanted a change, and I felt like it was the right time to make a change, like kind of a best for both parties situation. But I'm sort of okay with this in a weird way, Kai. No, you disagree? You're not?
No. Okay. He's been there 10 years. He's finished top 50 once in KenPom, and his highest seed in the tournament's 11.
He's made 4 tournaments. No one cares about Arizona State basketball.
Barely.
Arizona State and
barely
Tempe
made
cares
4
about Arizona
tournaments.
State basketball.
It's just he's had way too much talent for his performance. It's been horrible. Yeah, he's got the sweetest job in the
All of his
country.
talented teams have been just ravaged by injuries. That's
This
my
year's
defense.
team didn't fail because of injuries, in my opinion. They failed long before injuries. Also, I disagree with that.
His most talented team's been. I disagree very hard with that. And he's got like up to number one in the country in the non-conference, crapped it, and then ends up getting a
Yeah,
first
that was
four
bad.
invite. All of his at-large invitations have been first four. He's never been an at-large into the round of 64.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
Hey,
weird
this team was 8-1
fact.
with wins over New Mexico and St. Mary's
It's
and Grand Canyon.
been like that
by the
for
way, on
for
December.
It's every year.
consistently, and then they get in the conference play, and
And they get hurt.
No, no.
Okay.
Go back
I'm
to
not
some
going
of
to
the,
defend
go back
Bobby
to the
Hurley
year
this
they were
much.
number
Sorry,
one in
I
the
don't
country.
think
Who
a
got
Bobby
hurt?
Hurley
for
white
10
knight guy
years,
here, but I
Bobby
do feel
Hurley's
like
been getting hurt.
He's been
10
fine.
years. 10 years.
Yeah, who got hurt in 2018, Matthew, when they were number one in the country? That's my question. Okay, we'll move on from Bobby Hurley. It's not a big news
Matt loves
piece right
Bobby
now.
Hurley.
Arizona,
This is-
it's Arizona
this is
State.
a biased
It's
take.
Arizona
This is a
State.
biased
No one
take.
cares. No one cares about Arizona State basketball. It's fine.
Yeah, it's wild. Virginia is not retaining Ron Sanchez, and I tip my cap to them because too
Good
often
move.
the interim guy is held on to. And I was thinking about this for awards later, and maybe I should holster it, but I don't think I enjoyed watching a team less this year than Virginia. They're just when you're that slow and you don't have the talent, and there's kind of like a playing out the string feeling. You just got to go in a different direction, get outside the Virginia Tony Bennett family, change it up, and I think they're going to. So I was unfortunately glad to see this.
Yep. Ryan Odom. Boom. Done.
Yeah, make it happen. In the world of hirings, Murray State actually changed over real quick. Steve Prohm announced he was stepping down in the time since our last pod, and they quickly pivoted to hiring Ryan Miller, an assistant from Creighton. So new blood there for the Racers. Great fan base, great home court advantage. See if he can build something in the Missouri Valley. LaSalle hired Darius Nichols from Radford, which I think is a home run. Last LaSalle search ended with, I guess we got to drag a 75-year-old out of retirement. So getting a new up-and-coming young guy is a win in itself. Louisiana, the Cajuns hired Quantis White off the Houston staff. He's going to stay with Houston through the NCAA Tournament, novel concept. Jay
Wow.
Lucas?
Wow.
Yeah.
Haters will say because it's Louisiana, not Miami, Florida, bro. Yeah. No, it still
Yeah.
matters, Jim. You stick with your team the entire season.
Yeah, Matt Brower's doing the same thing. Texas Tech assistant hired for Stephen F. Austin, sticking around through the postseason. It just makes sense to me. I don't know why you'd leave, but we speculated about that last episode. So if you want to hear that discussion, rewind a week and go listen to
Bigger
that
loss
one.
for Duke: Cooper Flagg or Jai Lucas Kai down the stretch. Who will Duke miss
I'm
more?
going Cooper Flagg. He'll be back for the NCAA tournament. I guarantee it.
Wow, the guarantee is unnecessary. Stop that. That's just like
Round the
jinx writing all
clock,
over it.
He's a
ice
sprained
bucket
ankle.
treatments.
He's a sprained
He's
ankle.
fine.
He's fine.
I thought is
Keep
it?
it
Was
up.
I thought it might be a quasi high. What's the location of the ankle sprain?
I don't know if
That's
it's
all
high
I'm
ankle
worried
sprain,
about.
to be honest.
I don't think it's high because he rolled it the outwards way.
The outward way.
High typically happens the other mechanism for all you Twitter doctors out there. The mechanism is that of whatever.
The
Okay,
early
and
Twitter
then-
doctor, like within 5 seconds, there is 20 diagnoses, and it was like the earliest he's back is Sweet 16. Stay tuned. It's like it's 2 minutes. You're on a couch. Like let's let a few more information.
To
out
be
before
fair,
we
he
finally
could
make
skip the first round and it'd be okay.
I think Duke is going to be fine. I mean, there could be some like Gonzaga. Well,
Second round, I'm not saying that. I think 8 and 9s are awesome this year. They could
Yeah, 8 and 9s
absolutely
could be
lose to one of
good.
those teams that
Yeah.
flag. Yeah,
Gonzaga will be well above 8-9 now.
they'll be
because they got
5,
the St.
6.
Mary's one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. They beat St. Mary's. They're fine. Yeah.
Okay, Bellarmine, Scott Davenport retired, but they're promoting his son, Doug Davenport. Again, interim, you got to be careful with this sometimes, but I think I'm willing to give Scotty D, his son, a chance here. So Dougie Davenport will find out with the Bellarmine Knights. Other firings that did not get filled yet. Oral Roberts got rid of Russell Springman.
Yeah,
Kai, the
that's a
results
good
were
call.
really bad. Yeah.
He was not ready to be a head coach. That was pretty clear in several aspects.
Yep. That defense was abysmal, even for a Summit team. Did not win, even with some decent offensive talent. Penn fired Steve Donahue. Columbia's Jim Engels stepping down. Matthew, 2 big changes in the Ivy. Does it hurt? Did this hurt your heart the way I imagined it would?
It did. I like Donahue. In Columbia, like poor Engels, like sort of like the Bobby Hurley thing. Great non-conference, woo, and then kind of a falling back down to earth. The same same story the last 2 years. But the Ivy's fun. I'm curious to see where these hires go. I'm always curious. It's a league that's had pretty strong coaching continuity, um, generally. So we'll see if it's internal, if it's within a connection of the family of the Ivy network or those coaching staffs. They try and go off the wall and go outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a couple names for Penn, like Matt Langle, if he wants to come back. He's got Penn history. Dave Klatsky, the guy who's just completely running stuff at New York University, NYU, he's been amazing. They've got options. They've got options. Campbell let Kevin McGeehan go. Sort of felt like it was time in terms of he's had his best teams and didn't climb the mountain. Could be time to move on. Shout out Chris Clemens. And Chicago State let Scott Spinelli go after a year, which he was an internal promotion after Gerald Gillian kind of left them in the lurch and went to a conference rival. I don't know where you go with Chicago State, Kai, given their funding and stuff, but hey, I'm curious to find out.
I assume they have a guy. That's a weird firing, Jim, for this program, right?
Yep. Yeah. I joke that, it's the next Doug Gottlieb. Mark Titus is around. He wants to make Chicago State again. We'll see if it happens.
He'd be a better hire than Doug Gottlieb.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would care more about the job. All right, Matthew, in the injury world, Cooper Flag, ankle, rut row. Yes, we just speculated it. Happened the same time as Malik Brown popping out his shoulder, and he was taken out on a stretcher for the pain. It was so bad. Like, just couldn't even hold his shoulder up. So, yeah, Dookie's not a great first game in the ACC tournament. Where's your worry level at? Your concern level, 1 to 10?
I mean, a 7, sure. Um, I just think it pretty clearly, like, this was like maybe an all-time team as we were starting to see and develop for it. Now I think they're just one of the top 10 or top 5 best teams, as it's currently constructed without Flag. Now we'll see how it plays. I think the rest of the ACC tournament, obviously today against UNC, pretty good litmus test here against a white hot UNC offense. We'll see what the others, just that middling group of 5 stars and improving multi-year conference players. We'll see that. Point is, Duke's still going to be awesome. I just think it does open up the field a little more for those thinking, kind of like myself, that Auburn and Duke were playing a different sport than the rest of the league. So that's where I'm at right now.
This roster without Flag is still top 5 talented, most team in the country.
Hey, if he makes the Final Four without Flag, I'll say John Shire did a good job. Did an awesome job, in fact.
Field of 68.
But yeah,
maybe John Shire's not the coach of the year. I can't get there.
Field of 68 also had Chucky Hepburn, first team All-American. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Ooh, I think Hepburn's, he's on my All-American
insane
team list.
A first team All-American.
He's an All-American. Yes.
Incorrect.
First team's
that's
too much.
Bonkers to me. Okay, sorry.
It is bonkers. I like that, Kai. I agree. Bonkers.
Yes.
Okay, other random news and notes before we get into, we saw that Steph Curry taking an assistant GM role at Davidson, his alma mater. He's helping set up funding for NIL.
Wow.
This rules. Love that. Active player. I feel like this is the kind of thing that should happen more. Get the famous alum involved, especially when that famous alum, Kai, is loaded with money and Under Armour's #1 face of their brand and can really help this kind of thing.
Hey, you know who should give back to colleges' NIL funds? NBA players that are making tens of millions of dollars a year playing basketball. That's who should be funding these programs, guys. This is going to be awesome. Matt McKillop has like the Homelander smile going on because he's been struggling at that job. He's like, oh my God, we're actually going to be good because we're going to have money. He's going to save his job. Fantastic for Davidson. They're going to be a power if they start rolling in money.
I hope to see it. A quick shout out to Joe Cravens, the unbelievable color commentator on Big Sky Basketball. This is the week that he shines. So many people like uncover him like this gem of a dude and all his sayings and just his general behavior, Matthew, on the stream is great. So glad Joe Cravens gets to pop into our life once a year. And hey, if you want to watch more Big Sky ball and catch more Joe Cravens, we highly recommend that.
Yeah, it was the best broadcast of the conference tournaments out there. Who's the play-by-play guy? He's terrific as well.
His name's escaping me. I'm sorry.
They're just really good. Like, actually, it's not all like a big gimmicky. Like, it's just they actually know the stuff. They know the teams. They have good takes, and then they weave in hilarious anecdotes of similes and metaphors, and it's just really good. And Montana and Northern Colorado was an awesome game, by the way. Phenomenal game.
The worst announcing team, the Big South. Let's switch that up for next year, guys. Come on. Let's switch it up.
I'm okay with that. And perhaps, the ACC replaces Corey Alexander.
Let's definitely do that.
Okay,
Let's definitely
moving
do
on.
that. Let's definitely.
Yeah, I didn't need to hear Corey Alexander talking about Cooper Flag and how much it hurt him more than anything that he couldn't be out there with his teammates. He's like, I know this young man so
Yeah.
well, and I
It's
trust me.
just
I know that
conjecture.
it hurt. It's like, relax, Corey. You're not part of the story here. Remove yourself from the situation. No one cares anything about you. This is about Cooper, please.
In the ACC, Virginia Tech's Toby Lawal had the quote of the season, arguably, on his way out. Final press conference for Virginia Tech. He told the reporters, and I quote, "They thought we were going to be ass. I mean, we were still ass, but we weren't that bad. You know what I'm saying? We beat expectations." So
What?
yes, Matt, they were slightly above ass.
Why did he go to Virginia Tech from VCU again? Did I miss? Was that a? It couldn't have been money, right?
Yeah, it
Unless,
doesn't seem like
unless
money was.
Virginia Tech spent all their money on him and then had no other money to spend for teammates for Lawal. I don't know how that worked out, but that didn't make sense to me.
Mike
Yeah, he's not
Young.
a stylistic fit.
Mike Young also said it was a bunch of great kids, but we need to get more talented. It's basically just saying his roster.
Young's been frustrated all year. Like they don't even they did like dumb things too. They turned the ball over a bunch. It was a very weird. It was an untalented and in some regards not well coached. I think that like drove.
Wow.
I think Young aged 10 years this season. It seemed like.
Yeah, I mean their guards were babies. Remember their veteran point guard they had locked in couldn't play because he was in a gambling investigation last year. So Heiser Miller
That's right.
leaves, and suddenly they're just completely handcuffed in the backcourt, and it really showed in the play style and the results.
The Miller thing, yeah.
Yep. Okay, couple Reddit stats of the day, Kai. I actually unearthed these, and I loved them. So saved you a little labor digging in. First one from your boy Oheb, user your boy Oheb. With their loss in the ACC tournament, this now cements the current seniors at Syracuse as the school's first graduating class in 53 years to not see them in the NCAA tournament. Half that's Boeheim, half that is don't promote random dudes internally. Run a national search.
Yeah.
Red Autry, not the guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's a random dude, but yeah, you got to do better at a power league. Come on. Make it better higher than that.
Yeah, the team's just bad. Undisciplined, brutal to watch, like turnover, sloppy defense, etc. Hallmarks of poorly coached teams, I guess is what I'll say. Mm-hmm. The bonus Reddit stat of the day. Kai, do you want to read the username?
Yes. Let's get penisy 69.
There we go. Thank you to that particular user. Matthew, the ACC had 0 games in conference play where a ranked team played another ranked team. So that tells you not just like from analytical stuff, this is human voters. These teams weren't good enough to be ranked other than Duke the entire time. So Duke only played Louisville once. They played Clemson once. No ranked matchups in the ACC this year.
I do think we should be in the imbalanced schedule era. Everyone plays everyone once, and then we determine the rest of the schedule once you have the kind of where everyone is, and then the good teams can play each other, and then like the bad teams can play each other. I think there needs to be some. The fact that we didn't see Duke play Louisville twice or Clemson twice is pretty it's just dumb. It really is stupid. Like the league just suffered because of stuff like that.
Didn't the CUSA did that once? Where they like
was it
held their final 4 weeks. Yeah, they divided them into
Correct.
tiers, and it was like, all right, tier 1 plays each other.
That'd
be really interesting for power conference.
Right, yeah.
Matt, I don't like your rhetoric, man. Be careful because you're getting towards like 25 game conference schedules.
True.
No non-con. Let's not get into this.
Okay, you're right because I can't. Very good point because the power conference thing is inevitable, so I can't argue for balanced schedule because that's too many games. I'm fine with the unbalanced schedule if it's rejiggered for, I guess to a
Thanks, gavel.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah, we don't need UNC's final rundown this season to be 7 teams that aren't in the top 100. Let's reshuffle.
What are they, 1-11 versus Q1, but like 8-0 against Q2 or something?
Yep, that's right.
So
exactly right, Matthew.
Yep.
Good job.
But they also have a Q3 loss. Stanford got them.
Cardinal.
Okay, that is it for Roots Roundup, Kai. I will dish it over to you for We've Saw That. But before we do, a quick shout out to Pool Genius. Hey, want to win your March Madness bracket pool this year, Mr. McEwen? That's where Pool Genius comes in. Their subscribers win 3 times more often than expected, racking up over $2.5 million in prizes since 2017. Hey, it's March Madness. It's bracket time. This is perfect for you. How do they do this? Pool Genius has built the best bracket picking technology on the planet. Refined over 20 years by data scientists, it creates perfectly optimized brackets that factor in your pool's size and scoring. So whether in a small office pool or a huge contest with upset bonuses, Pool Genius knows exactly when to play safe and when to take calculated risks. And that's why 52% of Pool Geniuses won a bracket pool every year. If you're serious about winning, click the link in the description of the video and get the Pool Genius Bracket Optimizer, your unfair March Madness advantage, or go to poolgenius.com/3MW, poolgenius.com/3MW. That's where you can get in on that deal as we enter March and get into tournament play. All right, Kai, we saw that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Pool Genius. Yes, we've saw that time. Okay, some big games to discuss, guys. Auburn, this is going back a little bit before conference tournament play. They lost again. World's on fire. Oh, no. It was overtime at home to Alabama. Awesome game in the Iron Bowl of basketball, part 2. Fantastic. Auburn's fine. Actually, Jim, the overall 1 seed combo is kind of interesting. I was saying for a long time Auburn's locky. Duke's number 1 in every single quality metric. You could kind of see a world where Duke gets it, but that's neither here nor there. They're both 1 seeds at the end of the day.
Yeah, committee's got a nice out now with like, we don't know exactly if Flag is going to be full good to go. We don't want to put them number 1 overall, especially considering Auburn has 15 Q1 wins to Duke's 7. That's a wide margin.
It is. In the Big East, St. John's took care of business against Marquette. They went 18-2 or 17-3, 18-2, I believe, in the Big East.
18-2.
Fantastic year for Pitino, still going. And then Marquette against Xavier. Incredible game that was seen by nobody because it was on Peacock. Fantastic against Xavier. Cam Jones was awesome. Ryan Conwell was awesome. Marquette pulled it off in the end. They're moving on to the semis to play, I believe, St. John's again in the Big East tournament. So round 2.
Rematch.
Yeah. Marquette's been
that Xavier Marquette game was awesome. Just 2 smooth lefties going back and forth, making incredible play after incredible play. It's great. Love watching that.
And then Gonzaga, Matthew. They beat St. Mary's. They punched the auto bid. They did a favor for every speculator out there. They're in the NCAA tournament. Your thoughts on Gonzaga?
Yeah, good team. Mr. Battle is I think
he's awesome.
He's like the quintessential X factor, which I hate when people say that, but he actually is like their X factor. Sometimes takes some ill-advised ones, but he can kind of heat up the ball defensively, make some tough shots. Yeah, I mean, the way they beat St. Mary's in a St. Mary's meat grinder game, it was kind of an outlier in terms of no team could make any shot whatsoever. So like, it's tough to like, it was so gross, but it was both ways, and it was impressive to see Gonzaga win a game like that.
I think Jared Burson said it's the worst combined 3-point shooting percentage in like 20 years of college basketball or something. Like they combined like 1 for 45 or something.
For 2 elite teams. Elite teams.
So St. Mary's, I actually have a few thoughts on. I'm a little concerned about St. Mary's.
Really?
1 for 31. Well, give us your thoughts now, because man, we're not doing 3-man thoughts. So
okay, we like Gus Augustus. Yes, by the way, 2-time WCC Player of the Year.
Did he win it again?
Steve Nash won it again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The names he's up there with are like
insane.
Yeah, Drew Timme, Steve Nash.
I don't think he should have won it last year, frankly. This year, maybe. Yes.
He cannot create anything without like 20 million ball screens, and I worry that his counterparts in the backcourt, Ross and Lewis, they're not there yet. They're still baking in the oven, and Jim, our boy Henry Wessel still can't make layups. And what's the Arizona transfer is very feast or famine. I don't know.
I thought he was your boy. And now you're like,
he was my
his
boy.
Name?
I've seen him go both ways though. He can run really. He's streaky. This team, I don't know. I'm a little worried about St. Mary's as much as I love Randy Bennett. I love what I saw at times throughout this year. But man, the last couple of games I watched them, it's been a little bit. There are some annoyances for sure. Very, very real annoyances.
You just watched their worst shooting game of their entire program history.
I've watched a few times this year. They've gone through those lulls where they don't score for like 10 minutes. It's been kind of a thing for them. Yeah, it's bothersome is what it is.
Trivia. When was the last time Randy Bennett made the Sweet 16?
Last year.
He beat Indiana, crushed or 5 years ago.
No, 5 seed. I think, right?
2010 with Omar Samhan, and it's
Yeah.
also the only time he has made the Sweet 16.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
round of 32 to a lot, I think.
Interesting.
Yes, ton.
He is hard to get
Yes.
upset in the first round. Yeah.
Yeah, last year they lost to Grand Canyon.
Oh,
Got
never mind.
out athleted, and I think this year's team could have the same fate.
My
Yeah,
amnesia for
I'm with Jim on
tournaments
that one.
is incredible. Gonzaga,
Against
by the way.
St. Mary's versus San Diego State as a potential first round matchup.
Yeah,
I would take
St.
the
Mary's.
Scales,
I'll take
yeah.
St. Mary's.
Okay.
Gonzaga, by the way, they've been projected around an 8 seed for a long time. They're going to be like 5 or 6. This happened kind of last year. You can't put them at the 8 or 7 line. They're top 10 in quality metrics, top 10 in the country. It wouldn't be fair to do that, and seeding is heavily influenced by that. So I think they're going to rise quite a bit in the
The resume
bracket.
metrics are like spot in 8-9.
Yep.
But if you factor in seeding, like their average metrics combined are 20th,
Right.
which is 5 seed.
Yep, exactly. Okay, and then Matt and the Mac. Northern Illinois had one of the wildest endings, and it also ended Central Michigan's season, which is just brutal. CMU did not make the MAC tournament because NIU tried to throw a pass and the ball went in accidentally, and they won the game. First of all, they were up the entire game anyways, so CMU just kind of crapped the bet at home. But your MACtion, Matthew, ended early for the Chippewas.
Yeah, couldn't solve that riddle, the riddle that was the MAC this year. Feel bad for Tony Barbie. He actually had a pretty good roster, had a little upside this season, and they had a bunch of bad luck. But I'm not going to make any more excuses when you can't beat NIU in a do or die game at home. That's on you, big guy. Sorry.
Yep. Even if it comes down to the final, like I'm throwing a lob into the post, and oops, it went in for the game winner. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, why was it a
Ridiculous.
one possession game in double OT?
Yeah.
That's my question. Yeah.
Okay, guys, we mentioned the past 2 episodes, I think. Well, maybe actually just probably last episode. Tickets punched to the dance. Congratulations. Here we go real quick. In the OVC, SIUE, first bid ever. They became D1 in 2008. Shout out to SIUE. They're 16 seed.
Shout out to Rayshawn Taylor, double ACL tear in college, and he gets to dance at the end of it.
He scored at least 2,000 points, I believe, Rayshawn Taylor. So good player. Drake in the MVC, the Valley. Matthew, Indiana, apparently. He's emerged as one of the top candidates for the job. I do not think Hoosier fans will like his style. That would surprise me. He's like less than Tony Bennett pace. We'll see.
But do they like winning?
But he will win.
Yeah, I don't think the style is going to be a thing. Also, I don't think he's going to play that methodically slow at Indiana with Indiana talent.
He played the exact same way in D2 as the best D2 team in the country. And won
right,
4
but
titles.
I think what you see is a Grant McCaslin-esque evolution, where I think just kind of slowly he's going to make some modern adaptations to allure some offensive talent while still holding on to his defensive principles and structure.
Like you could say this year was a talent disadvantage and no depth, so he didn't. But if he's doing it at D2 when he had no talent disadvantage at all, it might just be his thing.
I see your point. The relative talent but I think that just the sheer outright absolute talent that he will have at Indiana is like categorically different than he's ever had. So I don't know. It just, again, I look at McCaslin, look at even Chris Beard, like, they're playing a little more. Just when you move up into like pro level dudes, you can't. I think you're sort of doing yourself a disservice to run mover blocker type actions with, that type of talent. But
Matt calls out Tony Bennett on March 14th episode.
It was tough watching TB watch the Virginia games. They used to they panned over.
I hate when they do that.
It was so brutal. It's like, there he is in the box up in the elevated up there.
Yeah,
feel bad for him.
Big South, High Point. Heck yeah. Yes, High Point. First bid ever. They have played like no Q1 or Q2 games. So we think they're really good, but we'll see what actually happens in the tournament. They're going to be like a 13 seed. So they'll play
They beat North Texas and UAB at home.
Okay.
Like that's not bad. Solid. It's just wild that those teams went to High Point.
Yeah.
I guess they knew it'd be a big game.
True. Omaha on the Summit. Heck yeah. Again, of course, I love St. Thomas, but they weren't able to make the tournament this year. Omaha, the vibes in this team are immaculate. Their first dance ever. I was surprised because Hansen had a few good years over the past few years, past decade or so at Omaha. But congrats to Chris Crutchfield. Fantastic job there. Lipscomb dancing in the A-Sun finally for Lenny Acuff. I don't know. Is this Acuff's first tournament with Lipscomb? He's been on the verge 100 times, but
yeah, they haven't made it since Alexander was there. Yeah.
Good. the SoCon, the Fletcher McGee's, Wofford, are going back for the first time since Fletcher McGee in 2019. This team's pretty good. They brought back like top 25 in the country continuity from last year. So not a super big surprise, but they're probably like 15 seed. We'll see if they can make some noise.
They're getting waxed. They're getting absolutely
Matt says
waxed.
They lost 86-35 to Duke. That's their only like power conference opponent. Oof.
Please tune into this game because you might see Kyler Filowich shoot free throws. He's like 36% and he shoots underhand. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful.
Yeah. The shift was supposed to make him better, but it's like 3 of 7, 1 of 5, 1 of 5, 0 of 3, 1 of 2, 1 of 4. It's not like a lot better doing it Granny style.
No. Yeah. He's also a big dude, so it looks very funny that he shoots underhand. Sunbelt.
Kind of stout, more stout goatee. That's what he is.
Yes. Ooh,
kind of
a Heron goatee is what you're referring to. Yes,
a goatee prototype. Yeah.
Troy in the Sunbelt. Scott Cross. Yeah, pretty good coach. 4 straight 21 seasons. That's all he did at UT Arlington too, and he got fired for it. Scott Cross. Nice to see him jump back on. He makes a shirt after every single win. Did you know that? For Troy.
I did not.
This year.
That's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool. He seems like a psycho, but I like him a lot. I like Scott.
Yeah, he's awesome. He is.
For the analytics nerds, he was on Field 68 After Dark, and they're like, all right, make the pitch. Why are you going to win in the NCAA tournament? He's like, shot volume. We're going to outshoot you. It's like, all right, nerds are going to love this guy.
Yeah. Wilmington, going back to the dance from the Coastal. They've been there a bunch. Siddle, incredible job following up Keats, who had a great tenure at Wilmington. Congratulations to the Seahawks. St. Francis pulled one of the biggest upsets of the conference tournament season, maybe the biggest upset in the NEC, beating Central Connecticut on Central Connecticut's home floor. The Blue Devils were the best team in this league all year by far, and I feel for Patrick Sellers, but St. Francis, congrats. Red Flash, you're in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, if you're Sellers, if you score 43 points at home as 11-point favorites, you'd kind of get the fate you brought on yourselves.
They'll be the last.
This wasn't the year for. I'm happy for Rob Krimmel, but I wish he would have gotten this when he had the cool teams, and I wish he didn't ruin the awesome year that was Patrick Sellers' year in Central Connecticut. So I don't like the timing of this, but nice shot, Rob.
Matt Norlander wrote a cool article about how they have like 0 NIL dollars, and it's like a point of pride. Not a point of pride, but he's just like, we're just going to do it this way. And they've won. It's a super young team, so it's kind of cool to see. He's been there forever. He played there, was assistant there. Like he's lived in Loretto for like 25 years.
Yep. Horizon, Robert Morris, man. Team of Destiny is Robert Morris. That's all I can say about them. I watch them and I think this team's not that good. And then I watch them a little bit more. I go, okay, maybe they are good. They just keep getting loose balls, constantly hitting big shots in big moments. I think they're going to get waxed in the first round.
Them and Omaha have the like just voodoo stuff.
Yeah.
Those two teams have voodoo magic on their side.
They do.
I think both those two team gyms had an athletic advantage over their conference counterparts that will not be there when they play whoever they play. I think that's the comparison between those two teams. But I mean, Bobby Mo, like I'm looking at my preview, they had 2 or 3 guys that Armand Jokic really hyped up and like D2 and JUCO, like look out for this guy. So I kind of, and again, I applaud Andy Toole. He just went really off the D1 reservoir to find talent, kind of like Richie Riley did at USA, and it worked.
Southland, McNeese, Jan, good job. Will Wade, he's going to be in the power leagues next year. The Patriot American takes it. Dwayne Simpkins, really good job at American. So kudos to Simpkins. He's been fantastic following up Mike Brennan, who I thought was a pretty good coach in American.
Yeah, and it's like all the same guys that Brennan left behind, which is pretty cool. I mean, a bunch of them been there 5 years, like Stevens, Rogers, Smalls, and now they're going dancing. They ended the Colgate dynasty. They're the one that got the Colgate win. So I felt okay that they're the one that eventually went dancing, because if you take down the powerhouse,
play the giant, get the spoils.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah, Big Sky, Montana. Congratulations to the Grizz. Good. We like Montana. Northern Colorado would have been a fine representative, but Montana, fantastic. This team will get waxed.
They will get waxed. they got waxed all non-conference. It's a bunch of small guards that can drive, and I don't know if that's going to work.
Yes. Okay, that's the auto bids. Congrats. Bad loss section, we have to mention one because you're done. Ohio State went down to Iowa in the Big Ten tournament. That puts them just 2 games over 500. No team has ever gotten that large, just 2 games over 500. So Ohio State effectively you're done. If they would have won that game, Jim, probably in.
Yeah, like some of the bona fides on the resume are solid, but
Yes.
it's like a non-starter if you're 17 and 15. It's just too many losses. Can't lose that game as a favorite as the 10 seed over against the 15 seed with a coach who's arguably on his way out. I guess maybe we should shout out Fran for getting ejected from what could be his final game. The next round in the Big Ten tournament gets ejected with 13 minutes left against Illinois. But yeah, Ohio State, oof. There's some heavy anger among the fan base about the Diebler hire.
Yeah, no shit is what I'm going to say about that. Come on. It's
Oh,
so
you won a
easy
bunch
to
of
hire
games when
coaches.
3-point splits worked well. Yeah.
So easy. We will consult for any program that wants to hire a coach, and we will get you a winning coach. I promise. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Okay. Good coaching, bad coaching, then we'll head into a little bit of bubble thoughts and then awards. Good coaching. Jim, I'll let you take the good coaching since it's your little bit here.
Yeah, I got a bit on good side and bad side of coaching, and it's late timeout usage. And on the good side was Greg McDermott. I always confuse the two for creating the end of the DePaul game late on Thursday night. You let the last possession when you're losing play out for a little bit. You see if you get the quick bucket. You see if you get the quick shot while the defense is scrambling. If it doesn't, then you call the timeout, and that's what he did. Right out of the timeout, they get an open Stephen Ashworth three to tie the game. They end up winning in overtime. Perfectly managed. Well done, Mr. McDermott. On the flip side, Buzz Williams, what are you doing, bud? There was like kind of a loose ball late in, I can't remember if it was regulation or first overtime. I think it was regulation. No, it was first overtime, where Texas A&M's up 4. The ball's kind of bouncing around. Henry Coleman grabs it in the lane, and he's kicking it out, in the process of kicking it out to Wade Taylor, and Buzz calls timeout. Taylor buries the 3 as the timeout gets called, and then out of the timeout, instead of having that 3, Buzz draws up a sideline lob alley-oop to the basket with 8 seconds on the shot clock. You didn't need a quick bucket. You're up by 4. It was insanity, and they scored like 1 point after that and lost the game. So I would make an argument that weird coaching decision cost them 3 points and the game. It's probably a fine line to walk with the late timeout usage, but there was the good and the bad of it yesterday, Thursday, while watching games.
Yeah, the Texas looked like the better coach team in that one. I mean, there was a couple of late just total blown screen switch coverages that just gave up easy buckets.
Yeah, the Shedrick game tying dunk in first overtime, like people just walked away from him at the hoop.
Trey Johnson got way too loose, just randomly like open, like the guy who killed you for 25 points and a half the last game. Like you weren't dialed on that scout. The guy who, yeah, whatever. That was, yeah. But Buzz sometimes has some head scratching things. Like I think his overall approach is smart, but I think his in-game stuff is his rotational decisions is sort of head scratching at times.
Campy, also Oakland game, called a timeout with this guy, had a clear layup path, and then drew up something that didn't work. So, yeah, I mean, I love Greg Campy, but Oakland blew that game to Robert Morris. I have a bad coaching section. John Calipari, post-game comments after the Arkansas win. He said he told Nelly Davis to miss a free throw on purpose. This free throw, Kentucky was up 3 points with 2.5 seconds left, would have put Arkansas up 4 points, which means the game's over. But he was arguing that, well, if you miss it, then they have to throw a whole full court shot and just tie the game if that goes in. And he said,
except South Carolina had a timeout. They could call timeout on the rebound. What are you talking about?
He says, I do a lot of unconventional things. It's like, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a coach say. I don't think any coach in the country would say they don't want to go up 4 points with 2 seconds left. John Calipari, guys.
Yeah, shout out Eric Fawcett again on Ball Up Top that's coming out later today. He's just like, this is representative of the 10 years of failure that he's had relative to expectations because he's not optimizing things. And if you make the wrong decisions in the small margins, it's going to show up in the big results. And him like not preparing for Oakland zone last year, et cetera, like you go down the line, this is just a microcosm of the issues. And some people are speculating, oh, he's covering for Nelly Davis. No, he like somebody at the game saw him tell him to miss the shot. This was a from the bench call. And it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Arkansas is one of the most talented teams in the country, and they're sneaking into the tournament. It's a poor job this year by Calipari. A poor job. I don't want to hear Boogie Flan. Poor job. Okay. Let's get into Bubble Watch real quick before awards. Home Field is our sponsor. Home Field, I am wearing one of their hoodies right now. They rock. They make the
I'm wearing
best.
their pants. Hell
Jim's
yeah.
wearing their pants. Matt's wearing their underwear. They don't have underwear, but they should have underwear.
They should.
They make
That's the next move.
premium collegiate apparel for schools of all sizes, from Power 5 to D3. They just released a Duke basketball collection. It's frankly awesome. I will not buy it because it's Duke, but Matt might buy it for his entire family. They do dig through years of archives of your school to find meaningful things for your fan base, thoughtful designs on shirts and hoodies, and heck, bomber jackets. Oh man, new bomber jackets too look awesome for a bunch of schools. The Villanova one is sick. They use the old like 90s, 80s style logo, whatever that's from. The colors, fantastic.
Yeah. The SLU one has like the dribbling building.
The SLU one's
awesome.
great. I got to get a Mizzou one. They put these unique designs on the most comfortable apparel you'll ever own in the entire world. This hoodie is so comfortable. Again, I wear it every single day. Go to homefieldapparel.com today, shop your school, and use our promo code 3MW at checkout. 15% off your first purchase. That's homefieldapparel.com. Promo code 3MW. Homefield, wear one for the team. Okay, to Bubble Watch we go. Bubble debate, Jim. Do the Friday, Saturday results matter? We actually don't really know, and it's going to come into play because Texas is still playing. There's a lot of teams in the bubble here. Will the committee prioritize quality wins like they have in the past? Will they go towards more straight-up resume metrics, which are close and maybe a little bit of an edge for teams with lesser quality wins like North Carolina, Xavier? It's going to be a big Rorschach test once again. Question marks abound.
Yeah, and I don't think they gave us all that much of a peek behind the curtain with the top 16 reveal. We always try to project what they say in that, it's like 4 weeks before Selection Sunday. What do they say about the top 16 teams that we can paint this bubble discussion with? It's just kind of a different discussion when you're seeding teams highly versus when you're doing selection. And that's a reminder I would tell people is that selection and seeding is different. It is not selected in order of 1 through 68. It is we select the teams and then we seed them. So that there's a different conversation to be had there. But yeah, Kai, one of the big themes over the past like 2 to 3 weeks is that we creep closer and closer to 14 SEC teams because the bubblers keep winning big games.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, particularly right now, and Oklahoma's gotten just enough, it seems like. And what does that do to the ACC, the Big East, the Mountain West? And maybe we get 1 or 2 bid stealers still A10 American. They're out there. So I'm very curious to see what direction this goes. Do you have any pet teams on the bubble that you're really excited about?
I mean, gosh, no. I hope VCU gets in if they lose the A10 tournament, but somehow that's not a guarantee. Their resume metrics are the exact same as these big teams, and they don't have wins. They have 1 Q1, 5 Q4, 5 Q2, and they have a Q4 loss. They're top 30 in KenPom, but quality metrics are not supposed to come into play. I think when the committee steps back and looks at everything, I think they will see certain teams are ranked higher. It's kind of hard to ignore. I'm more curious about what are they going to do with Texas and Oklahoma, who went 6-12 in the SEC. Again, not supposed to matter, but when you're deciding who to make the tournament and you have teams like UNC and Xavier and Wake even that did very well in their conferences, or at least better than sub 500, what do you do? And then Texas, 7 Q1 wins is fantastic, but they played one of the worst non-con schedules in the country, whereas OU actually played people and beat people in the non-con. So it's going to be a really strange exercise. And if you were to ignore those results of Texas in the last couple of days, which the committee has done in the past, they would be out. And Indiana is looking worse and worse by the day, but perhaps they were already in. It's going to be a strange Sunday.
Yes, very much so. Matt, are you optimistic about your Hoosiers? Just general vibes? Do the Hoosiers believe they are in, or where do they stand?
I can't speak to the. It feels like they're gonna get like a first four, thing. Just seems like they're on the right side of that line as of today, which could obviously change. And I think when push comes to shove, it's just Indiana first four is just such an easy win for the committee just to do.
Indiana
Which,
versus
what? I don't
Arkansas.
love, by the
I wonder
way.
if people would
Yeah,
watch that game.
right. UNC, Arkansas, Indiana, and Texas. Right.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
I thought they were, and then you look at them compared to Texas, and it's like I don't know. Again, the metrics say they would be, Jim, but the wins are not there.
Yeah, well, it's how much do they dig into it? Like, okay, West Virginia has 6 Q1 wins, Indiana has 4, but like at Michigan State is one of the best wins any bubble team has.
Yep.
Actual on the road, not just neutral, not home type stuff. Like Texas's Q1 wins maybe aren't quite as strong as that particular wins that stand out. You can go in different directions. And the one team, Kai, we don't really have listed here, but I think is interesting. UC Irvine. Our guy Rocco Miller's been making a push
Yeah.
for them because they have set the all-time record for wins away from home. They could end up with 18 if they win the semifinal game in the Big West. A ton of road wins, ton of neutral wins. At that point, it's like, what else can we do? Now their metrics aren't pristine, especially their quality stuff. But hey, that's BPI dragging them down because BPI is a piece of shit.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't know if they can get there. I would like to see the double Big West. And the one other thing that Rocco pointed out that I found very intelligent was this is the first year in a while that it's been 7 mid-major E members on the selection committee versus 5 power conference folks. And shout out to somebody in our Discord, I forget who, but one of the last times this happened was the year that Belmont got an at-large bid out of a mid-major conference, two bid from the OVC. I don't know if it means anything exactly, if correlation is causation here, but it's at least worth monitoring that maybe the mid-majors have more of a fighting chance in this landscape.
I love this.
Yeah, I'd rather
I love
see
this.
UC San Diego or Irvine or VCU than, frankly, Xavier, UNC, a couple Mountain West teams. UNC versus Xavier they've been very close for a while now. UConn just became a top 30 net team, so Xavier actually has another Q1 win, which I think puts them ahead of North Carolina in the S curve, if you were to compare the two. So just another team for North Carolina to hurdle. It's going to be really weird. I won't go in the nitty gritty of all the metric details, but just know there's going to be some surprises this year.
I think Carolina has the ultimate. If you're 1-11 in Q1 and you can't beat Duke without flag, you just stop. So stop making the argument. You didn't earn it. Just
Right.
get out. This is your do or die kind of thing. Although it's Friday night, maybe the committee's already put their pencils down.
And yeah, I always change my bracket too much. I don't think I'm going to do it too much right now, because they really do not take these Friday, Saturday results into consideration as much as the media says they do. They just don't.
I wrote that in the bubble watch that went live today. The big example is Texas A&M from a few years back
Exactly.
when they went all the way to the SEC title game and they'd won a bunch of games late in the regular season too. And it was like, oh, look at this team playing well, accumulating wins. And it just didn't get them over the hump. So I think we do tend to over-index on these conference tournament results. We want them to feel like these like giant in or out games. And the cliche is true. Unfortunately, it's just one of 32, 33 pieces of evidence.
It should be. It's your body of work. It's your body of work. It's not, oh, they got in because of that win. No, body of work. Okay, Matt.
I think
Okay, go ahead.
UC
Yes.
Irvine, and I was going to look at the UC Irvine, UC San Diego, I think both broke records for number of road wins or something like that this
Well,
year.
Jim did say
Yeah,
UC Irvine set the top.
It's an all-time record. They're going to have 18 away from
Okay.
home.
And I think the Tritons were like right behind them.
Yeah, I think 2
and
behind them.
that to me, Matt. I think winning away from home is like the one metric I'd probably put more stock in than the team sheet importance would indicate. So
It is on
I
the
think
team
that
sheet.
stuff matters.
Road record. So that's good. Yeah, put Matt on the committee. Matt loves bracketology, as you can clearly see.
I just know who's good and who's not. And I know who people want to see and people don't. And I know who deserves to be. UNC does not deserve to be in there. Indiana does not deserve to be in there. I'm sorry. Texas does not deserve to be in there. Get them out of my field.
Just wait till they expand the tournament.
You get 50 at bats. You get 4 singles. Great. Terrific.
We're going to be arguing
That's
about freaking Cincinnati and Ohio State, 2 games over 500, being in the tournament next couple of years when they expand. Okay, that was our quick bubble watch. This is not going to matter in a couple days, anyways. Let's do some awards to finish the show here, fellas. I have mine off outline. I assume you do too.
Oh, yeah.
Start with the individual awards and then get down to All Americans. Does that sound like a good idea?
Sounds delightful.
Player of the Year, Matthew. Who is it?
A co-player of the year, Janai Broom and Cooper.
Yeah, man. I wish I could have bet on this.
Yeah.
Oh.
I did
Guys
the
both get an
same
award.
thing.
It's so fun. Did you? You little cop. I love that. Jim, who'd you choose?
But if forced to choose, I would say Flag.
I would say Flag too. Yeah, Flag.
Okay. I said Broom by a hair. He's got more Ken Pom game MVPs despite missing 2 games with an ankle injury. He did it in a much tougher conference. I think there is something to Flag racking up stats against worse teams. His numbers do fall off in quad A and B, or in tier A and B games per Ken Pom. Not catastrophically, but there is a stark difference. And it's because he was better late, But was he better late because he was playing terrible competition? That's the question. I mean, you can't go wrong, but I do think by a hair it is Janai Broom for me.
I don't know KenPom's formula for KenPom Player of the Year, but up until yesterday when Flag got hurt, he had the highest rating ever for KenPom Player of the Year. But now he's a hair behind Kaminsky, 2015. So
okay, yeah, and it's tied to like team quality too. So the fact that they're like an all-time great team
right,
is
exactly.
part of it.
It's got to be team quality. Broom's a fine choice. Either way, we'll see what actually happens. Coach of the Year is way more interesting to me. Jim, I'll let you start your Coach of the Year.
Oh, you okay, fine. All right. I might have gone in a direction others won't, but my top two choices are dinosaurs. I went with the dinosaurs, and I gave my National Coach of the Year to Tom Izzo because did you guys even remotely consider a single Michigan State player for All-American? I have to imagine no.
Couldn't have. They're too balanced.
I dug in there, and your point stands. I did consider it because of how good they've been, but it's hard to make a really good case for anyone on that team. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make a case about players, and yet they won the second best conference in the country by 3 games, 26-5. There's a lot of skepticism about does this team have enough talent coming into the year, and all he's done is rank 8th in KenPom, elevate them into a 2 seed, and I have him just a hair ahead of Patino for what he did at St. John's. And I have a couple other names. I won't step on all your guys' toes, but am I crazy for the Izzo pick? Matthew, what do you think?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I went Eric Olin. I know it's a mid-major thing,
Oh,
but like
wow.
I just think it's like the best mid-major coaching job we've seen in like a decade. So yeah, I thought about it. There's a lot of good power conference options, but I think Eric Olin is just ridiculous.
Ben McCollum?
So
Better
yeah,
than Ben McCollum?
yeah, for sure.
5-0
I think
against
so.
Q1, Q2?
UC San Diego's better than Drake, so I think that's part of it. I think their conference was debatably better than the Valley, or just was better. What do the metrics say?
I
I
actually
don't
think
know,
it does say
actually.
the Big West is better.
So
They're
I mean,
like even
Yeah.
basically.
like McCollum was
Cal
awesome,
State
but
Fullerton
remember,
ruined
like
it.
the hype he's get like I think it really started with the K State win, and at the time we thought K State was like a top 25 team, and lo and behold, they weren't really that great. They beat Miami, Florida. I was like, wow, look at that! Miami, Florida was a freaking zombie team all year. So I think there was some artificial hype from McCollum's start to the year and that run. He's obviously a terrific coach, but I think McCollum getting more love than Eric Olin makes no sense to me. I think objectively, Eric Olin was a better job. Both were insane. Eric Olin was like historic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the McCollum story is easier because he's like the new coach who brought the guys with,
Brought his boys
and
with him. Yeah,
there's that media bias against late night Big West ball, Matthew, West Coast
that's
ball.
right.
It's happening after dark.
No one's up.
I don't
Everyone's in
hate
bed.
this pick, but no wins against top 50 teams, UC San Diego. Just going to put that out there. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I just
100 spots
Tough
higher than
schedule.
KenPom. 90.
tough to schedule them.
Did Utah State fall out of top 50?
Yeah,
That's too
they
bad
did.
because I mean they were Utah State was undefeated
It's
when
a
they
great
went
win.
to yeah it was yeah.
Okay. Well, my runners up, guys. I did put Shire in runner up. I put Bruce Pearl, Pat
Yeah,
Kelsey,
Shire did a good job. I want to clear. Shire did a very good job this year. I just don't think
Grant
his coaching-
McCaslin, Tom Izzo, Rick Pitino. My coach of the year is Todd Golden for Florida.
He was my third number 3.
Perfect roster build, significantly exceeded expectations. They're going to be a 1 seed. That was not on anybody's radar heading into the year. He did a fantastic job. He deserves coach of the year.
Right?
Yeah,
he was 3 for me too. Yeah,
The I think the hardest thing to do, and no offense to Olin, but is to elevate a team from like good to national title
Very fair.
contender.
Very
And
fair.
That's what Golden did. I'm also gonna I just the one name that I don't think we mentioned that I have top 5 is Greg Gard. Because
Yeah,
who
he's
the
there.
hell thought Wisconsin was going to be good, much less a 2 or 3 seed? So yes, Tanjay emerging is part of that. But again, like if you look at that roster and you saw 2 or 3 seed, you were seeing colors that don't exist, and Greg Gard was able to make it happen.
All right, defense player of the
I
year.
also
Oh, sorry, Matt. Go
I
ahead.
wrote down. Oh, sorry, I wrote down your boy Dennis Gates. He was in the consideration list. I didn't want. He wasn't at that level, but he was on the watch list.
I think he should
and
be
Brad,
included in a watch list. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah,
And then I threw
Byington,
Brad
too.
Brownell and
Fine.
Pat Kelsey in their own honorable mention.
Brownell is actually a good call too. Yeah, he was good. Okay, defense player of the year. I can start us off. I'll be brave. This is not an easy award to give. I went Ryan Kalkbrenner. because he is the first guy since Patrick Ewing to win Big East Defensive Player of the Year 4 straight years. Yes, it's partially a Lifetime Achievement Award, partially too. Boo Buie won Defensive Player of the Year last year, and that was ridiculous. Excuse me. Kalkbrenner is my Defensive Player of the Year. Runner-up were Broom and Flag.
Okay. I went a little slightly different direction, but my winner is Kadari Richmond because I think he was
Okay
a
with this.
total freak for the number 2 defense in the entire country. He can guard multiple positions, disruptive. You can switch, play whatever style with him you want. So I went with Richmond. Number 2, JoJo Tugler, best defender on the number 3 defense. He just needed more minutes. He's only playing like 22 a game.
Yeah, I agree.
They're rotating. That's the part of the hurt. Flag number 3 for me, and Cam Matthews number 4.
That was my pick.
Kalkbrenner right there. Honestly, the Kalkbrenner thing, like I unfairly was like, they're barely top 50 in defense, but they would be like 190th if he wasn't on the team. They might not even be top 200. So perhaps I should be giving him credit for being top 50. Matthew, where'd you go?
Yeah, I went Cam Matthews because I think people don't realize that this Mississippi State roster is actually pretty bad defensively on a personnel basis. This feels like a dumb award because I think they're 10th right now in the SEC in defense. But Cam Matthews is like so clearly an awesome like all-world defender. And I like giving like wings love. I don't know. I feel like we always default to the big guy. So I probably Broom's the right pick. I think that's because what's so good about Broom is his ability to like anticipate and get steals. Like that's kind of like the brilliance of how good of a defender he is. Anyway, and Flag I think should be considered as well. I think Flag was an awesome defender, like awesome defender. A lot of good. Honestly, like the all defensive teams would be fun. If we made all 3 did 15, they'd be fun to.
If you let media vote for it, it'd be really strange.
It's just this is a mini rant of every award is just who led the conference in steals as Defensive Player of the Year. It's Chucky Hepburn. It's whatever guy. Ace Baldwin won Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I can't stand it because nobody knows what else to look at. So they're just like, well, this guy had a lot of steals. If your first argument on guy is steals, you probably didn't watch enough defense to have a good eval. If Matt mentioned wings, so I'm going to say I think if you're giving a Tennessee guy, it's Meshack is the best defender for them. Sorry to Ziegler for tone setting and Akpara for rim protecting, but Meshack's a freak.
That's right, though. Wings don't really get a lot of credit in college basketball Defensive Player of the Year. It's always centers and point guards, basically, that can win it.
Steals or blocks.
Yeah, steals and blocks, basically. How about wings? Can do both. Okay, do you guys have any other awards, fun awards? I just have like 1 or 2 here. I was wrong award goes to Jacoby Gillespie. I was wrong. You're very good. Matthew Grinning. I was wrong. Okay.
I was trying to think who I was wrong about, which I'm sure I was wrong about a few guys myself. That's a fun award.
Yeah.
I'm going to think about that.
Okay.
Probably that's an off season. Let's expand that discussion for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to do like a team I enjoyed watching the most award. I didn't quite settle on an answer, and that might be more off-season type stuff. These are more just like actual accomplishments type things. Kai, I think I'm going to give Sixth Man of the Year to Caleb Grill. Maybe it's a Mizzou bias, but I thought he was absolutely vital to the success of that team. Look what happened when he didn't play last year, and they didn't have a physical guard that helped rebound and make shots and the leadership and stuff. So Sixth Man of the Year, Caleb Grill for me.
Love it. I also wrote down 5 most underrated candidates. I didn't do a whole lot of thought on this, but I just put some on paper that I did not choose for All-Americans. Javon Small, West Virginia, they would not be in the tournament without him. Chase Hunter for Clemson never gets any love. Chucky Hepburn apparently is not underrated anymore since Field 68 chose him as a first-team All-American. Maxime Reneau is incredibly underrated for Stanford. And this might be a weird one, Con Knipple. Con Knipple is extremely underrated because Flag gets all the press and even like other guys. Con Knipple is fantastic, and he'll show what he can do against North Carolina and beyond in the ACC tournament and NCAA tournament.
Yeah, as we're getting to All-American, basically you're just like naming some guys I listed for honorable mention All-American or got close to third team. So yeah, I think these are great names.
Let's do All-Americans. First team. I'm going to go Matt first.
Good.
I struggled with second and third team. I really did.
There's a lot of guys.
So first team, one controversial pick. I think we have to. So Broom, lock. Cooper Flag, lock. Eric Dixon, lock.
Not a lock.
Wow.
Not a lock?
Not a lock.
Guys, his numbers are ridiculous. Plays
He's
like
on, I'm
a
on my third
Virginia
team.
tempo.
I'm on my
Okay.
third team.
He's on my first team.
Is
He
he
was
a
awesome.
good defender? I don't know.
He's on
he's
my
fine
third team
defender.
as well, Matthew.
Okay. I put Ryan Kalkbrenner on there, which is maybe doing. I had Walter Clayton for my fifth selection. First team All-American Walter Clayton.
So do I.
Good for you.
Your most controversial pick is Eric Dixon.
I thought Clayton would be controversial.
No, unanimous Weave first teamer.
Yeah.
Walter Clayton.
Yeah, flag broom Clayton for me. JT Toppin, Texas Tech, and Braden Smith, Purdue, is my.
Kai, we have
First team
groupthink. Same group. Same team.
It's because it's correct, Jim. Those are the 5 first team All-Americans. Braden Smith.
We're savvy. Yeah, no Smith. I think that's more controversial than Dixon or Clayton is to not have Braden Smith.
I didn't like how they played defense this year, Purdue.
Is that his fault as a point guard? I don't know.
It's not right. He's not a bad defender. He's obviously he's a cheeky defender. I'll say that.
He's very cheeky. That's a great descriptor.
He's cheeky.
I got to see how good Villanova was at defense. I guess they're better than Purdue, but okay.
God, Purdue has not guarded anything in forever. I have a hot take. I think Indiana might go farther in the tournament than Purdue. But that's a whole other discussion.
Purdue's kind of their defense is so bad that they could get upset. Like teams can get layups against them. Yeah. So I don't mind it.
Nope, Villanova is 116 in defense, Purdue's 55.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, Villanova hasn't played much defense either. But Kyle Dixon averaged
Eric Dixon.
Eric Dixon.
Who's Kyle Dixon?
A lot of points.
Does he like go to your grade school or something?
While you look that up, Matthew, I can start with second team.
Okay. Yeah.
Kalkbrenner is on my second team, who was on Matt's first team. Mark Sears, Alabama. Cam Jones, Marquette. R.J. Lewis, St. John's. And Hunter Dickinson for Kansas. Boo.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's on there.
I thought we were going to have the same team again, Kai. Kalkbrenner, Sears, Cam Jones. Also, second team for me. I went John Tonje and Donovan Dent as my other two second teamers. Yeah. Dent's numbers are crazy. And they won Mountain West. And I just watch them and I'm blown away by like the way he runs the show and is pretty good on both ends. Okay, that was my second team. Matthew, what about you?
Braden Smith and JT Toppin. You guys were that first team, right? So second team. Cam Jones, Jim, Tonje with you.
Yeah,
second team.
Good.
And I went Chucky Hepburn second team. I think he was that good. Sorry, kind of gonna be pissed off at that.
You would not have put him second team if you didn't see Field of 68.
No, I
wouldn't have been on your radar.
I was preaching this Louisville team all.
You were preaching Hadley.
It's mid-major all-star.
You were preaching
Javen Hadley's their best player. Javen Hadley's their best player.
I didn't have the recipe correct, but what I didn't take into account is how awesome Hepburn would be. And Hepburn was like,
he had a great
development, went off the charts, and he's like the best defender. He like sets the tone on both ends. He's a two-way guy. Again, Zakiya Ziegler coming up in third team, I think has that same kind of profile, kind of a two-way heartbeat of team guy. I think that matters. I gave Hepburn this.
I think it's a fine pick. It's defensible. Yes.
Pat Kelsey told the ACC announcers that Terrence Edwards was their best defender. So I'm going to trust Pat Kelsey. I'm going to go with that. Chucky Hepburn got more steals. Terrence Edwards was their better defender. Matt, respect wings.
Respect wings.
You're right.
Jim, third team.
Third team for me, Eric Dixon, R.J. Lewis, P.J. Haggerty of Memphis. Shout out to the Tigers. He's fantastic. I went Zakiya Ziegler for Tennessee. I could be talked into a couple different directions there. And then the Matt Honorable or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but Aniwa Tate Jones from UC San Diego.
I love it.
He was unbelievable this year. Really unconventional, fun player. He scores, he passes, he rebounds, does everything for a top 40 team. If other guys in top 40 teams can do that, why can't Aniwa Tate Jones be up there? So I snuck him on. I just wasn't overly thrilled with any of my other candidates. I have a bunch of all honorable mentions here, but I wanted to go with him.
The Tritons are going to use this podcast as like advertising for
Miracle. We should send them. We should send these to their SID.
My third team was John Tonje, Eric Dixon, and I have Zakiya Ziegler, Jim, Juwan Roberts for Houston. I felt like I needed a Houston guy.
Houston's tough, man.
He is their best player. Cryer has like the best, I guess, stats and stuff, but Juwan Roberts is their most important player, best player. And Graham Ike from Gonzaga. You guys are going to hate that one, but
No,
he
no,
had like
he's in
that
my
one.
honorable mention.
Top 10 team dominant. Yep. Matthew.
Ziegler, Sears, Dent, Javon Small, and then I literally have a blank space for my third one. I have like a million names. I thought Lamont Butler is worthy. You guys mentioned a few of the others I considered. I also considered Butler. The injury sort of derailed him late, but I think he was like
Pick
mega
one.
important. I also looked at Owe was pretty awesome as well, by the
I
way.
think if I'm going Kentucky, it's Owe.
It's Owe, yeah. So yeah, I'm still deciding there, Kai. Frankly, I just a lot of like, does Mizzou get a look? Does Illinois get a look? Arizona, Iowa
No,
State, we didn't really
no,
talk about much
no.
here.
Curtis Jones
No,
honorable
no.
mention for me.
Okay. So yeah, I was stuck there. So I almost completed the project, but I legitimately have like 15 names right now. Who else do I have here?
Just name them. I'm going to list all my honorable mentions, so go for it.
I wrote down Gus, but I was like, no, I'm not a Goose, excuse me, from St. Mary's. Like the 2-time WCC Player of the Year, like should be at least by some formulaic filter in consideration. But I couldn't get there. Tried to force a couple Michigan State guys there. I didn't like that.
You can't do it. They're just not that
Dickinson
good.
couldn't do it. Sorry, Kai. I applaud you for sticking to your guns. Just
Same,
not going to go
same.
there.
Number 3,
just-
Kempon
I-
Player of the Year. He's
I took a
objectively
stand.
great.
I'm keeping him off my top 3 teams.
I don't know if you can put
Wade
Eric
Taylor
Dixon
injured a
on a
couple
team
too.
and not put Hunter Dickinson, but okay.
That's an interesting point.
I mean,
Hmm.
we're talking.
It's actually a decent point. Damn it.
It's a great point. He averaged 18 and
Even
10
though I think Dixon's better.
on a better team.
And neither of them contributed much to each team's
Yeah.
defense.
I don't like the guy
Jim,
either.
I really like. Did we consider any? Wait, where did it go?
I got a few.
Uh,
Trey Kaufman
Go ahead,
should
Kai,
be
sorry.
considered. He had
Good
a great,
man. Got
great
him as
season.
well.
He's placed through him, pretty placed through him. Chaz Lanier for Tennessee. You guys mentioned Small. Cryer, I think, should be considered. And Derek Queen for Maryland should also get a nod. Maryland was awesome this season.
Good. Glad you mentioned him because I forgot to write him down and I considered him for third team and I didn't have him on my honorable mention. Javon Small, also Nick Clifford for Colorado State.
Nate Clifford, that was the one I looked at hard. Yeah, he's
a
great.
good I was wrong award candidate. I thought he would regress without Isaiah Stevens, and he got even better. Kaufman Wren, Dickinson, whatever is what I wrote down. Sure, fine. Here's your plaque, Hunter. Go away. Graham Ek, yes, Kai. Bennett Sturts. I mean,
Yeah,
Matt,
Sturtsy.
if you're going to talk up
Yes.
the pace
I know.
adjusted stuff for
Yep.
Dixon, Sturts belongs there.
Led the country in
Sturts'
minutes.
numbers were
Led
actually
the country in
insane.
minutes. Yeah.
Sturts' numbers were pretty like robotically awesome.
Yeah.
Sturts should be in the consideration. Top 50 team.
Hepburn, RJ Davis. I at least wrote him
I
down.
know Davis. I did write Davis.
And then 3 more. Maxime Renault. Kai, I'm glad you mentioned him, the underrated guys. Max Shulga. That guy is freaking awesome. Best player in the A10. And then shout out, hat tip, sadness, tear down the chin. Bryce Williams was so freaking good
Nebraska.
for Nebraska this year, and then they don't even make the Big Ten tournament. That's tough. Not Bryce's fault, that's for sure.
Bennett Sturts played 39.3 minutes per game.
I think he played over 40 in Missouri Valley play or something like that.
Per 100
They
possessions.
went overtime, I think, right?
32 points a game, 10 assists. I mean, he had a really good year. Okay. Good awards. Anything else for awards, fellas? We have one review and then we can sign off.
I don't think so. Let's hit that review.
All right. Review time from Scorpion 6373. Best basketball podcast. What's your typical night watching college basketball like? Are you watching multiple games at once? How do you select which games you watch? Right now in conference tournament time, I'm usually watching. Well, I got the quad box, of course, and I'll zoom into one of the games.
YouTube TV Quad Box is a savior
Never have
for
to watch
conference
commercials.
tournament.
Fantastic. Usually games I have money on or games I care more about, of course, we'll watch. Try to watch some mid-major ball. I don't know, Jim. Typical. I try to watch as much basketball as possible. It's difficult, though. It is to watch everything.
I hone focus, fellas. I'm watching my conferences that I previewed, expect to preview in the future. I'm trying to eye test all of these dudes, especially late in the year, because you get a lot of guys who play late that didn't play early, especially in these mid-major conferences. So that's my thing. I like to really hone in, Conference USA. I watch a lot of that. American, a lot of that. OVC, which hurts my eyes.
Stop it.
A lot of OVC. Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself.
I know.
Yeah, I've got main game on TV and then quad box on my iPad right next to me, so I can kind of glance at those. If I really want to like learn something about the X's and O's of a team, I'm watching one game. But during Champ Week, there's so many good games going on that I'm just watching mostly for like, whoa, this happened. So I want to have as many games pulled up as possible. Prioritize championship games, conference tournament championships, of course. But then now it's the closer the game and the closer to the end of it, that's kind of how I tier my watching. Like, oh, there's 6 minutes left in this one, but 10 minutes left in the other game. So I'll focus on the 6 minutes left game. It's a fun question, Kai, and I'm sure I'd look like a psychopath, but a lot of people do the same thing.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining us for our podcast. Here's our schedule. Best bets tomorrow, fellas, 10 a.m. Yes. There's 22 games tomorrow. We'll hit them all most likely. Then on Monday, our big, giant March Madness Marathon podcast. It'll last 2 hours most likely. It's going to start
at least.
It's going to start at 6:30 p.m. Monday. That's Central Time on YouTube. It'll be up on Apple and everywhere else after that. We're going to go through every single first round game. We're going to talk betting as well on that, just to combine our best bets into that, as well as previewing every single game. So that's our schedule. And then we do have a live event in Chicago, by the way, coming up with Action Network. We're going to be a part of it. That's March 29th. We'll remind you guys later of that. That's at Joe's on Weed. Really cool place.
Free RSVP.
Yeah, free to get in, free RSVP. So we'll start putting links out for that as time gets closer. But tune in tomorrow for Best Bets, 10 a.m. Saturday.
Yeah, Kai, after I go to the river and have some Guinness at 8 in the morning. Oh,
Darn
what's
right.
up, St. Pat's
Darn
Day?
right. I'm going to do it after. And then Monday, 6:30 p.m. Okay, that's it. Thank you for joining us. Have a good one. Enjoy basketball. Go Brackets.